gray down here. We don't want to see a lot of blood. That usually means that there's a hole in the cryovac. You can see when I put that hole in, you see how the air gets in there? You'll see a lot of these. You'll see them where they're sort of like this. Stay away. Okay?
So you have your the meat company you can order from in the back. What is it that you're actually ordering, the whole?
You're ordering the whole. Yep, because we don't want those flats. And I'm going to show you how to do this. But the other thing is I'm going to be able to show you how to separate this out. And what we're going to do from there is we're going to make burn-in this out.
Chris, this looks gray here. Is that just see here?
Yeah, that's just there. That means this boy's getting ready to. We need to
cook it. There you go.
Now we got these up at the restaurant depot, and somebody grab that for me, please. Thank you. Okay. And what we've noticed the difference in the cuts down here is they leave this piece right here. I usually bring this off again. What it is it's just really pretty much unmanageable. We're not able to really eat it. But what we want to do is take a good solid look at our brisket. Okay. What we do here is that we have our flat here. We have the line of delineation that comes down through here. That's going to be the point versus the separation. We'll be able to, once this is cooked correct, to just take our knife and just drag it right down that fat line, and it'll just separate out totally. Okay? We have 3 areas that we need to trim on this brisket. What we're going to do is we're going to take this knot off. We can see this hard fat knot here. Okay? Doesn't need to be there. It's not going to cook up. It's not going to go anywhere. So we're going to trim this off. The other area we're going to trim off is going to be some of this softer fat down through here. And this is basically gelatinous type fat. Basically, it's a part of the separation point. Just doesn't need there. It's going to aid in the cooking process, speed us up a little bit. Now on this back side, what I try to do is I try to look for about 1/4 of an inch of fat down along here, and try to keep it to about 1/4 of an inch. But we also have a lot of fat up here. I probably need to knock this down a little bit. Very, very important, guys, is to have good knives here. This is where the fight and the struggle begins if your knives aren't sharp. Okay?
You ever use an electric knife at this point? Or
no,
okay.
electrics don't work well. I've tried.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my knife down, try to keep some of this unneeded fat off here. But what we're going to see about this fat, you can see how gelatinous is this. This is the fat that ends up in the bottom of the smoker. And see how they leave the edges down here.
Did you buy this locally?
Yeah.
Costco or someplace?
Restaurant Depot. Almost said Home Depot.
Where is it?
You know, you get tacos at Home Depot.
On the west side of the freeway there.
Restaurant Depot.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to knock this down. Granted, I went a little bit deep on that. Am I going to worry about that? No. I'm going to worry more about stuff like this. Try to keep that down to where it's more manageable. You'll never even see it once it's cooked. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this V-line, this vein cut through here. I'm going to, like I said, that's when you need sharp knives. And you can see how we have the separation between the two. But I'm going to trim some of this out here.
It's that big deep chunk, right, that runs down through there.
Yeah.
Well, they have a new thing now. If you're on KCBS, you can get in there. Before you couldn't, but now I think if you just show your, like if you have a KCBS card or membership, they'll allow you in there.
If you go to the one on Baseline, and there's an older woman that works in there, you show her your KCBS card, she'll actually give you a Restaurant Depot
membership
card.
Oh, cool.
The older woman.
What's
Yeah.
KCBS?
Kansas City Barbecue Society. Biggest barbecue society in the country. About 13,000.
That one works for any of them.
Yeah,
Fred,
that
will you
works
check that
for any of
smoker
them.
and make sure he's dampered down?
The other
Marshall
side to
is
it
dampered
some of
down
the
to about.
places
I
you
think
go
that one
to,
needs to come up a little bit too.
Yeah.
the-
Should be
their
dampered down to
membership
about.
card. You show them
200.
the KCBS card, they give you a day pass.
We're running right around 275 on this one.
So
Perfect.
it just
Just
seems like
keep
stuff
it going.
there,
If
her
we're
idea
engaged in mine,
is
Do you ever use those?
Oh, it does.
just
Yeah, it looks-
like
Yeah.
if
I think
it's
about
cards,
Volby,
which it is really.
Briskets?
Oh,
or
Wogie.
Wabi?
Wogie, Kobe, all the, basically we call them gimmick briskets.
Yeah. 4,000.
There you go. No. Different taste. Totally. Have you ever tried one?
No,
Totally different taste than what we're looking for in brisket.
You ever had a Kobe steak?
No.
It tastes, he's right, it tastes totally different.
Yeah, I'm no real for what you're saying though.
Completely different than the best steak you can find here.
Yeah.
They are yummy.
Yeah.
They are young, but it's a different taste.
It's different taste.
It is young, there's no doubt.
What we're going to look at now is we're going to look at how we're grained out here. We saw our briskets grained out like this. So the one thing we're going to do is when we do this brisket, we're going to really create a coat across the top of this. So as it cooks, we're really going to lose a lot of this grain pattern because we're going to really work a lot of our rubs into it. So what we need to do, the very first thing we need to do is, I line it up, knowing my grain's going this way. I'm going to cut a notch to tell me which way to cut the brisket. So when this brisket is cooked, I'm going to know exactly how to cut it because I have it notched in. Okay?
Too simple.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a joke about that brisket?
Yeah.
I'm Jewish, and brisket's a big thing.
Yeah.
Okay? So the recipe gets handed down from grandma to mom.
Yeah.
And the first thing you do is you cut the ends off the brisket. Finally, the little girl says to mom, "Why do you cut the ends off the brisket?" She says, "I don't know. You're going to have to go ask grandma." She says, "Go to grandma." Goes to grandma. Grandma says, "Because that's how big the pan is."
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So we noticed this is really a good grained out brisket. This is going to be a really good brisket once we cook it out. Necessary evil of brisket is called the jacquard. And you're going to see exactly what I do with the jacquard. You're going to be able to see on those briskets that I cooked, you're going to be able to see how I've worked the product down further into the meat with this jacquard. Okay, first thing I do is I get my mustard out. Surprise, surprise. Standard yellow mustard, no other kind of mustard but yellow. Cheapest you can usually buy.
So you jacquard after
Oh,
after seasoning it up to allow those blades to push it down further in the meat.
yeah, just one. Okay. Let's see, I need to move this in. Now again, am I going to be afraid about putting a lot of rub on this bad boy? No.
Can't overdo it.
Not on a brisket. Okay, I'm going to take my jacquard. Notice I'm going to follow my notch. Oh, come out of there.
Do they sell those here?
Yeah, these are great. Used these for 15 years. Sure beats a fork.
And definitely buy that 3-blade, the 3-row, not the single row.
Yeah, makes a big difference, the 45s versus the 9s. And what he's talking about there is there's different rows of teeth. Okay, so now, I'm going to come back the other way. And you can start to see how it's breaking down. I'm breaking those connective tissues down further and further. And I'm forcing this rub and everything down into it.
Is there a downfall to using the style that looks like a mallet?
A mallet.
It's kind of like that, but it has about
You make
50 of them
tenderize
in there. When you hit it, and then it springs down into it.
I wouldn't want to hit it.
Okay. Gotcha.
And my dad, I think I know what you're talking about. My dad had one of those. And I would
Pummel
probably
it too much.
pummeled it, exactly.
Okay.
I remember he'd take that steak, and that steak would end up about that wide. I'm like,
I'm not
Dad!
talking about the type that has the nubs on it. Actually,
Yeah, this had,
the needles
yeah.
go down. Okay.
this had,
You don't seem to be using that up at the top.
no, because that's going to be our point. That's actually, get a free bottle of sauce if you know what the very top of a brisket's called.
Point.
No.
That's too
One
easy.
kid in 4 years has gotten in it. And it was a kid out of Salina, Kansas, who's of all things, if I had known this, I wouldn't ask him the question. His beef farmer, a dinkle. It's called, the very end's called the dinkle. So, okay, so now this brisket's going to go on, and this brisket's going to cook approximately about 8 hours.
And you didn't do anything to the fat side.
No, Don't do
No
anything.
mustard, no anything.
No, nothing. We're
Do you
just
ever
going.
inject your brisket?
No, never,
Never.
never.
No Dr. Pepper.
No, I use
Dr.
Diet Coke.
Pepper.
No, I use Mr. Pibb.
Mr. Pibb.
That's the secret, Mr. Pibb and left-handed briskets. Right?
That's right.
Okay, so let's go take the brisket. Let's go get these guys up.